At the beginning of the movie, we are taken back 17 years before the events of the story. The world is in big trouble because global warming is getting out of control. So scientists come up with a plan. They release a special chemical called CW7 into the sky to cool down the Earth. But something goes very wrong. Instead of cooling the Earth a little, this chemical freezes the entire planet. Within a short time, the oceans turn to ice. Cities become frozen. Almost every living thing on Earth dies. A new ice age has begun, but a small group of people manage to survive. And where do they survive? On a giant train. This train was built before the freeze by a man named Wilford. He is the owner of Wilford Industries. And this is not a normal train. The tracks of this train are 43,800 kilometers long, and they go around the whole world. The train passes through every country on Earth. And the engine is something Wilford himself invented. It never stops, it never runs out of power, and it keeps the train moving at full speed all year. The train completes one full circle around the Earth in exactly 1 year. Now here's where things get dark. This train was built for rich people. The rich passengers who paid a lot of money are living in the front part of the train. They have luxury rooms, fresh food, hot showers, even a nightclub. But the poor people who jumped on the train at the last second to save their lives? They are treated like animals. They are kept in the back part of the train, also called the tail section. They sleep on top of each other in dirty beds. They have no warm clothes. And the only food they get is one black protein bar every day. And trust me, when you find out later what these protein bars are made of, you will feel sick. For 17 long years, the people in the tail section have been suffering like this. Some of them tried to fight back in the past, but the armed guards killed every single one of them. These guards work for the rich, and they make sure the poor stay quiet. But what they don't know is that a quiet, strong man named Curtis is secretly planning the biggest rebellion this train has ever seen. Curtis is being guided by an older man named Gilliam, who is like a father to everyone in the tail. And here is something interesting. Curtis has been getting secret messages hidden inside his protein bars. Someone on this train is helping him from the shadows. The latest message Curtis gets has only one name on it. Namgung Minsu. Curtis knows this name. Namgung is the security expert who designed every single lock on this train. The problem is, Namgung is locked up in a prison drawer 3 sections ahead of them. So Curtis comes up with a plan. Every morning, the guards open the doors to give them protein bars. That tiny moment is the only chance they will ever get. Curtis wants his people to rush forward, beat the guards, free Namgung, and have him unlock every door in the train. But here's the thing. Many of his people are scared. They think the guards will shoot them dead. But Curtis has figured out a secret. Years ago, during the last failed rebellion, the guards used up all their bullets. And since this train can't make new bullets, those guns are now empty. At least, that's what Curtis believes. But would you bet your life on a guess like that? Helping Curtis with this plan is a young man named Edgar. He looks up to Curtis like a big brother. He would do anything for him. And just as Curtis is finishing his plan, something terrible happens. A strange woman in a bright yellow coat walks into the tail section. She acts very sweet and tells the families she just needs to do a quick medical checkup on the children. But it's all a lie. She lines the kids up, measures them, and suddenly grabs 2 of them and starts taking them away. One father loses his mind and throws a shoe at her. The shoe hits her head, and she starts bleeding. But she just smiles a creepy smile and walks away with the kids. That's when a high-ranking officer named Mason walks in. And what she does next is brutal. As punishment for throwing the shoe, the guards drag the father out and stick his bare arm through a hole in the side of the train. The freezing air outside turns his arm into solid ice within minutes. Then a guard takes a hammer and smashes his frozen arm into pieces like glass. The man screams in agony. And Mason calmly tells everyone that they should be grateful to Wilford for letting them live, and their place is forever under the boots of the rich. That moment lights a fire inside Curtis. The next morning, the rebellion begins. When the guards open the doors to give out the protein bars, Curtis steps forward. He grabs a guard's gun, points it at his own head, and pulls the trigger. Click. Nothing. Empty. Just like he said. And in that moment, every person in the tail section realizes the truth. The guards have been bluffing for years. The crowd rushes forward. They beat the guards. They jam steel pipes into the doors so the doors can't close. They push through compartment after compartment until they finally reach the prison section. Edgar grabs the keys from a guard and unlocks Namgung's drawer. Namgung wakes up shaking and mumbling. Why? Because he is heavily addicted to a drug called chronol. This drug is made from industrial waste on the train, and it's also very explosive. Curtis quickly makes a deal with him. For every door Namgung opens, Curtis will give him 1 chronol pill. But then Namgung opens the drawer next to him, and out comes a young woman named Yona. She is his daughter, and she has lived her whole life on this train. Namgung changes the deal. 2 pills per door, because his daughter is coming too. Curtis agrees. So they push forward. 1 door, 2 doors, and now they reach the 3rd. But just before Namgung opens it, his daughter Yona says something strange. She says there is a man hanging on the other side. Everyone is confused because the door isn't even open yet. But when the door slides open, sure enough, a man is hanging from the ceiling, fixing a machine. This is the food production section. This is where the protein bars are made. The man making them used to live in the tail section. He was a chef, so the officials pulled him out and put him to work. Curtis walks up to one of the big containers and looks inside to see what the bars are made from. And what he sees almost makes him throw up. The protein bars are made from millions of crushed black insects. Cockroaches. Yes, you heard that right. Curtis decides not to tell the others, because it would break them. While he is there, Curtis sees the chef placing a small capsule inside one of the bars. The same kind of capsule the secret messages always come in. Curtis grabs the chef and asks who is sending these messages. The chef says he doesn't know. Someone just leaves the capsule there, and he puts it in the bars. Curtis opens the new message. 1 word. Water. Gilliam, who is leading from the back, instantly understands. The mystery helper is telling them to take over the water section. Because if they control the water, they control everything. The rich can't survive without water. They won't even need to reach the engine. They can force Wilford to give in. So they push forward, full of hope. But when Namgung starts opening the door to the water section, Yona again feels something is wrong. She tries to warn them, but it's too late. The door slides open, and on the other side, a small army of masked guards is waiting with axes. It's a trap. A massive, brutal fight breaks out. People are getting cut down on both sides. Bodies are falling everywhere. Blood is everywhere. But just when the fight is at its worst, an announcement comes over the loudspeaker. Everyone freezes. The train is about to cross the Yekaterina Bridge. The guards begin a countdown, and the moment it hits 0, every person on the train shouts, "Happy New Year!" Yes, you heard that right. The train passes over this bridge exactly once a year. That is how the people on board know another year has gone by. But this bridge is dangerous. Every year, big walls of ice form on the tracks, and when the train slams into them, it causes a violent shake through every compartment. Everyone has to hold on tight. Well, almost everyone. In the middle of the chaos, Namgung calmly lifts his daughter Yona up to the window so she can see the frozen world outside. It's a beautiful, quiet moment in the middle of all the madness. But the second the train passes the bridge, the fight starts again. And here is where Mason herself shows up. She tries to talk her way out of it. She lectures Curtis about how ungrateful the tail section is, and how Wilford gave them food and shelter. As punishment, she says 74% of them will be killed. Curtis throws an axe at her face, but a guard blocks it with a hammer. Mason smiles and tells everyone to put on their night vision goggles. Why? Because the train is about to enter a long, dark tunnel. And here is something Curtis never thought about. Because he has lived his whole life inside the closed compartments of the tail section, he didn't even know what a tunnel was. Suddenly, everything goes pitch black. And in the darkness, the guards start killing Curtis's people one by one. Curtis is swinging his axe blindly, trying to survive. Then he yells back, "Send fire. We need fire." And here is one of the most heartbreaking moments. The man whose arm was smashed earlier, the same one Mason froze and broke, comes running forward holding a flaming torch. Behind him, dozens of others come carrying fire. Light returns to the train, and the tail section finally fights back hard. Mason tries to run, but Curtis throws a knife into her leg, and she falls. As she crawls toward an emergency switch, Curtis runs to stop her. But suddenly, he hears Edgar screaming behind him. A guard has Edgar by the throat with a knife. Curtis has only a second to choose. Save Edgar, or capture Mason and complete the mission. He chooses the mission. He lets Edgar die. Mason is terrified for her own life and surrenders. She tells the guards to stop fighting. The water section now belongs to Curtis. But just when Curtis thinks he can shut off the rich people's water, Mason laughs. She tells him something he never knew. The water doesn't even come from this section. The train scoops up ice from the very front, like an elephant using its trunk, and melts it into water. Holding the water section hostage means nothing. But, she says, if he spares her life, she will personally take him to the engine. To Wilford. Gilliam gives Curtis one final piece of advice over the radio. The moment you reach Wilford, do not let him speak. Cut his tongue out before he says a single word. That advice is going to make so much more sense in just a few minutes. Curtis, Namgung, Yona, and a small group push forward. and suddenly, they walk into a completely different world. They pass through a giant fish aquarium. They walk past greenhouses full of fruits and vegetables. They see a meat locker, a dentist office, a sauna, and finally, a school where a smiling pregnant teacher is brainwashing rich kids about how amazing Wilford is. The kids are watching cartoons about how Wilford, who played with toy trains as a child, grew up to invent the eternal engine that saved humanity. And every day they are reminded that if this train ever stops, they will all die. Then a delivery man rolls in with a cart full of eggs, and the kids cheer because eggs are now a rare treat, served only on New Year's Day. The man hands the teacher a basket and even gives Curtis an egg with a friendly smile. He then walks toward the back of the group to hand out eggs to the rest of Curtis's people. Curtis cracks open his egg, and inside is another capsule. He opens it. The message says one word: blood. And in that exact moment, the egg delivery man pulls a hidden gun out of his cart and starts shooting Curtis's people. At the same time, the smiling pregnant teacher pulls out a machine gun from under her desk and opens fire too. It is a complete ambush. People are dying everywhere. One of Curtis's men throws a knife and kills the teacher, but her gun ends up in Mason's hands. Just as Mason is about to shoot, Curtis kills her on the spot. In the back compartments, the Eggman flips his cart over. Underneath, there are dozens of guns hidden inside. He frees the captured guards, and the slaughter begins again. Then a TV screen flickers on near Curtis. It is showing live security footage from the back, and what Curtis sees on that screen breaks him. Gilliam, his mentor, his father figure, has just been killed by the head of the guards. Curtis screams in rage, grabs a gun, and pushes forward with the few people he has left. He charges through the rich people's cars. The rich passengers stare at him like he is a wild animal. He fights through a steamy spa section. The head guard catches up and starts gunning down everyone in his crew. By the end, only Curtis, Namgung, and Yona are still alive. Curtis kills the head guard in a final brutal fight. They keep moving and walk into the rave section, where rich junkies are passed out on the floor, completely high on Chronol. Namgung and Yona quietly start collecting Chronol pills off the unconscious bodies. Why? You will see in just a moment. They also grab warm jackets. And finally, after everything they have been through, they reach the door of the engine. Wilford is just on the other side. But here is where everything you thought you understood about this movie gets flipped upside down. Curtis is banging on the engine door, ready to tear Wilford apart with his bare hands. But Namgung stops him and asks, "Why are you so desperate to reach Wilford?" And this is when Curtis breaks. He confesses something so dark, it changes how you see him forever. 18 years ago, when the survivors first jumped on the train, Wilford did give them shelter. But the very next day, the guards came in and took everything. Food, water, supplies, all gone. They were locked in the back of the train with nothing. Within days, people started starving. And then they started doing the unthinkable. They started eating each other. The strong began hunting the weak. And Curtis, with tears in his eyes, admits that he was one of them. He killed a woman and was about to eat her baby. But just as he was about to do it, an old man stepped forward. He asked for the knife. Everyone thought he was going to kill the baby himself. Instead, the old man placed his own arm on the floor and chopped it off with the knife. He held out his bleeding arm and said, "If you are hungry, eat this. But leave the child alone." That single act of sacrifice stopped everyone. They put down their knives. That old man was Gilliam. And the baby Curtis was about to eat was Edgar. The same Edgar Curtis just let die a few minutes ago. Curtis has been carrying this guilt for 18 years. And the hatred for Wilford has only grown stronger every day. He has to kill him. But Namgung shocks him. He says he never wanted to open the engine door. He wants to open the outside door, the one that has been sealed for 18 years. Curtis tells him he is crazy. He will freeze to death the moment he steps outside. But Namgung has been quietly watching the world for years. Every time the train crosses the Yekaterina Bridge, he sees a crashed plane buried in the ice. And year after year, more and more of that plane has become visible. The ice is melting. The world is healing. He is sure that with warm clothes, they could survive outside. He starts joining all those Chronol pills together to make a giant bomb. He plans to blow open the side door of the train. But he needs a match, and Curtis is the only one with one. And Curtis refuses to give it to him. Suddenly, the engine door opens. The same woman in the yellow coat from earlier walks out. She shoots Namgung and tells Curtis that Wilford is honored to meet him and would like to invite him for dinner. She leads him inside and closes the door behind him. And there, sitting calmly, cooking a steak, is Wilford himself. He greets Curtis like an old friend. He congratulates him on being the first tail section person ever to make it to the engine. But what he reveals next is honestly one of the most shocking twists you will ever see. Wilford explains that resources on the train are limited. Population control is the most important thing. So how does he keep the population balanced? He creates rebellions on purpose. Every few years, when the population grows too high, Wilford sends a message to a man in the tail section telling him to start a revolution. That man gets the poor fired up and leads them into battle. Meanwhile, Wilford prepares his front section troops to slaughter them. Both sides lose hundreds of people, and the population magically returns to a balanced number. And the man Wilford has been working with this entire time? Gilliam. Yes, Gilliam. Curtis's mentor. His hero. His father figure. Was Wilford's secret partner the whole time. Every rebellion, every secret message hidden in protein bars, was planned between the two of them. They were friends. Two men playing God with thousands of innocent lives. Curtis is completely shattered. He can't believe it. But Wilford isn't done. He says Gilliam had to be killed this time because Curtis went too far and broke the agreement by actually reaching the front. And now Wilford has someone new to take Gilliam's place. Curtis. He says he is old and he needs someone to take over the train. He wants Curtis to be the next Wilford. For a moment, Curtis actually thinks about it. He is exhausted. Maybe this is what he was always meant to do. But while Curtis is lost in thought, Yona is outside trying to break into the engine. She wants to give him the matchstick. When she finally gets the door open, the woman in yellow comes flying out with a gun. Yona kills her, then runs to Curtis. But Curtis, still half believing Wilford, pushes her away. Then Yona notices something. A loose tile on the engine room floor. She pulls it up with a spoon. And what she sees underneath is the most disturbing thing in the entire movie. A small child, crammed inside the engine, working as a living, replaceable part of the machine. It is one of the children that yellow coat woman stole from the tail section earlier in the movie. Wilford casually explains that the engine has tiny parts that wear out, and they can't make new ones. So they need small bodies to fit inside and operate the gears. He thanks the tail section for being so good at producing children. That is the moment Curtis snaps. He attacks Wilford and beats him to death right there. Then he hands Yona his matchstick, sticks his own arm into the spinning engine to pull the child out, and his hand gets crushed and torn off in the process. Yona lights the bomb. Namgung, badly wounded, drags himself to the door to try to shield her. Curtis throws himself over Yona and the rescued child as the bomb goes off. The explosion blows the side of the train wide open. But the engine is still running. The train is still moving at full speed. And right at that moment, the train is curving along the side of a huge ice mountain. The shockwave from the explosion triggers a massive avalanche. Tons of snow and ice come crashing down onto the train, throwing it off the tracks. The front half slams into a tunnel and gets crushed. The back half tumbles down into a valley. Every single person on the train dies. Except two. Yona and the small child she rescued. Wrapped in their warm clothes, they slowly climb out of the wreckage. They are stunned to be alive. They walk out into the snow, scared, until they spot something in the distance. A polar bear. A living, breathing animal. That is the proof. The world is alive again. Namgung was right all along. Earth has been healing this whole time, and humanity was never meant to live forever inside that train. Yona looks at the child, takes their hand, and steps forward into a brand new world. And that is exactly where the movie ends. So that is the full story of Snowpiercer. A movie about class, sacrifice, lies, and how far people will go to keep their power. It is one of those rare films where every twist actually means something. And that final shot of the polar bear is honestly burned into my brain forever. Now listen, I really put my heart into making this video for you. So if you made it all the way to the end, and you still haven't subscribed yet, I have to be honest, that kind of breaks my heart a little. It takes me hours and hours to research, write, and put these videos together. And the only thing I ask in return is one click on that subscribe button. That's it. So please, hit subscribe right now, smash that like button, and drop a comment below telling me which twist shocked you the most. Was it Gilliam being Wilford's secret partner? Was it Curtis confessing he was a cannibal? Or was it the child trapped inside the engine? Let me know in the comments below. And I will see you in the next movie breakdown. Take care.